All right, what's going on, guys? Today we have my father, also known as Jesse Number One. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up?
So, when you were younger, what was your first band? What got you into the punk scene?
I would say the Sex Pistols record, the first record, Nevermind the Bullet. And what was the song? Anarchy in the UK? Yeah,
Anarchy in the UK?
That song was bad, man. I think the whole scene was born off of that, too.
Yeah, so when did you start playing the drums?
I started playing the drums when I was like 16 or 17. Mm-hmm. But my first 2 years in the Raw Sewage Band, which we started the whole punk rock thing with, I played bass guitar for my first 2 years.
You played bass guitar?
Yeah, when I played with Social Distortion when I was 16 or 15, I was playing guitar or playing bass guitar.
Wait, so you played with Social Distortion?
Well, in a concert together, we got a place and Raw Sewage played and Social Distortion played and a band called Born Against played. And
Born Against?
And that was back in like 1979.
79?
Yeah, way back when.
So what's the deal with Social Distortion, right? You always talk about them. Yeah. What's the deal? Give me the breakdown. What was Social Distortion was like a big thing back then, or it was later when they blew up?
Social Distortion started as a real young band back in 78.
78.
And my brother had a band, Raw Sewage, that started in late 77 before Social Distortion.
Yeah.
And Mike was this young guy going around playing guitar, and we'd see him in the scene all the time.
That's Mike Ness, the lead singer.
The lead singer
of Social Distortion. Okay.
And Mike had a problem with his finger. It would get cut by a knife in a bar fight.
Okay.
And when you see this guy play guitar, he plays the strangest finger hold that it's not traditional.
Because his finger's messed up?
Yeah, so he has to make it. And when we played together, he liked my brother, because my brother played guitar and sang just like Mike Ness.
Right.
And my brother was really good at playing lead guitar and flamenco guitar. And
what's flamenco guitar?
Flamenco guitar is a Spanish style where you do your fingers and a lot of finger picking and stuff.
Okay.
But we're playing punk rock, right? 3 chords. You're not supposed to play lead and flamenco.
It's like grunge stuff, right?
So anyway, Mike tells my brother he can't play lead guitar because his finger's broke and he's just playing these bar chords, punk rock. And my brother's all, oh no, dude, you can play lead. I'll show you how. And after the concert, we ended up going back to my house. And they played guitar together all night long, and my brother showed Mike how to play lead guitar riffs and stuff. And one of the riffs that he showed him was called a hammer-on, where you roll your finger on the guitar strings.
Okay.
And vividly, I remember them doing that, and then 10, 15 years later, Mike releases Ball and Chain, his biggest song ever.
I've definitely heard that one.
And in the middle of Ball and Chain, there's Mike playing lead guitar, doing
just like
hammer on solo. And I remember distinctly Tommy showing Mike how to do that.
So your brother taught Mike Ness how to play guitar with the broken finger.
With the broken finger, helped him adapt to it.
Well, that's kind of crazy. And then did Mike Ness ever you guys ever see Mike Ness later on after he became successful?
I stayed in the punk rock scene till about 1990. I was down there from 78 to about 90.
Okay.
Mike launched in Social Distortion about 85, 86. He started going on tour and getting ready to sign records, and he was gone and you never really saw him anymore. But when we would go around in the bar scene early in the punk rock scene, we would cross paths all the time and sit down at the bar and drink and talk about the bands and catch up. And twice I was an opening band and Mike was just in the crowd, and there was Mike sitting at the bar, right? And I go walking up to him, I'm like, oh man, great, he watched me jam. And I sit down and before I said a word, Mike looked at me and went, man, that first band sucked. And I'm like, oh yeah, sorry about that. Yeah. Okay,
so so you're around at the beginning of this punk rock shit, and it's like, what is it like house parties and shit like that, or is it like clubs or what?
Man, in 77 and 78, when we first all started cutting our hair and first mohawks appeared, There was no place to play.
What I think about punk rock, I see the guys with the black jeans, the mohawks and shit, and the crazy hair. Like, that was coming up when you were there.
There was no nightclub or bar or anywhere for us to play. So mostly it was like house parties and warehouses. People would take their dad's business that was ran out of the warehouse.
Oh, okay.
And on Friday night,
clean
they'd clean it out.
Yeah.
We'd build a stage, and they'd put 3 or 4 bands out there.
Yeah.
It was a really underground scene. And then I gave Jesse a list of videos. And
I got some videos.
There's this one video called Clockwork Orange County.
I couldn't find that one. Let me try one more time.
I looked it right up on YouTube.
I couldn't find it on...
Anyway, you all know the movie Clockwork Orange.
Well, so, not everybody. I know it, yeah.
So they made a documentary about the Orange County punk scene called Clockwork Orange County.
Oh, here we go.
There it is.
I'll put this in chat for you guys if you want to check it out.
And this tells the story of a nightclub called the Cuckoo's Nest that was in Costa Mesa, Newport Beach.
And this was a big nightclub.
And it was the first club in Orange County that booked all the heavy-duty punk bands like Circle Jerks and Black Flag. The Dam came to play.
What's up, Bulldogs? Good.
And the Cuckoo's Nest was just instrumental to the whole Orange County punk scene. It was probably the birth of it. I was lucky enough to play there one time, and I went and saw many bands there.
So this was like the gatekeeper spot. Like, if you can get into the Cuckoo's Nest, you're kind of like pretty big deal.
Well, when they tell the stories of back in the day, anybody that touched the Cuckoo's Nest, that's just royal. Like, you were in.
You had to be the man to get in there.
Yeah,
like, no amateurs are getting in to the Cuckoo's Nest. Okay, so what's the deal with the Circle Jerk story about you being on the record? Well, give me the full story. Don't spare no details. What happened? You guys were in the crowd.
Okay, it's not the Circle Jerks.
Okay, sorry. Who was it?
The best band of the whole punk scene in L.A. and Orange County when it all started was the Germs.
The Germs,
right
sorry.
here.
The Germs.
Darby Crash and the Germs. They were like the Led Zeppelin of everything.
Okay.
And when I was 16 and I was just kind of really getting into the punk thing, the Germs were playing at a nightclub called the Starwood in Hollywood, and the Starwood is infamous. Yeah.
Okay.
So we go and we watch the Germs at Starwood, and during the concert, some guy comes up on stage and he got beaten up really bad. His nose was all broken. And it was all,
from what, like a mosh pit or something?
No, out in front in the crowd. And it turns out this guy was the lead singer of Suicidal Tendencies, which I just found out after 35 years. I didn't know this.
The guy that was beaten.
Yeah, I was just at the Germs concert, and some guy was there, and his nose was bleeding. And they made a recording of the show because Darby Crash died of an overdose 3 days later, and that was their last performance. And it was a totally iconic show. And I was fortunate enough to be there, and when this big deal went on with the guy getting his nose broken, the crowd was going nuts, yelling at him. He's on the microphone next to the Germs going, "They broke my nose." And then when all the mayhem dies right down, me and my brother are standing right in front of the stage.
Tommy.
And Tommy
the guy who taught Mike Ness how to play guitar.
And Tommy yells my name, clear as a bell, right across the stage. And I went on the last Germs record right there. It's just totally in print. I went down in punk rock history.
That's right. Yeah. So Darby Crash, lead singer of the Germs, overdosed 3 days later. So that was it. That was the last chance to see the Germs.
Show. That was the end of the Germs.
You were there.
And we were there.
And what was the vibe like when you were there? Everybody thought he was off the rocker, or what?
I'll put it to you this way. People refer back to that exact moment because that moment was so iconic in punk rock. I think that Mike Ness, a lot of the Adolescents, Fear, everybody who was anybody was at that show. And if they weren't at that show, they were lying, saying they were at that
I was at that show.
That's how incredible that was.
Okay, so...
Wait, I'm going to finish this off, too.
Go ahead.
That show was so famous and such a moment in music that I'll bet you money, if I ever got a chance to meet the singer of the Foo Fighters,
okay,
right?
What's his name?
David Kroll, I believe it is, the drummer from Nirvana.
Okay.
amazing musician.
Okay.
But if I ever met this guy and told him I was at that show, I'll bet you money that dude would get down on his knees and bow and go, "Oh, I'm not worthy." And I'd be looking at him going, "Wow, you're the drummer of Nirvana, dude, and you're going to do that to me."
Right. So, okay, so let me ask this, because you said that a lot of the punk rock guys were there. So, was it a competitive community? Like, let's say everybody's got their own band, right? And you go to the Cuckoo's Nest to go see the Germs. Everybody goes to see the Germs, or are there people that are like, okay, I got my own shit going on. I don't fuck with the Germs.
It was very competitive, but it was like a brotherhood because there wasn't that many punks yet. The scene was still new, so if you were a punk and punk rock and you were at the thing, you were a part of it. But it was still every man for himself. And
nobody's handing out free tickets to the Cuckoo's.
You guys call it mosh pit now, and I think that's the stupidest word I ever heard in my life.
That's what it's called, bro.
Where I grew up, we called that the slam pit, and you were slamming. And it was so violent, the shows, and when the slam would go down, it was like you were just, pray you were coming out alive. And the reason the word mosh pit came up was because for about 6 to 10 years, all the gay heavy metal guys that wouldn't cut their hair would make fun of us punk or slam dancing. And they would say every weird thing in the world. But then all of a sudden, speed metal came around. And they started slamming. But they couldn't call it slam dancing because they were putting us down.
Because that's what you guys had.
And that's where the word mosh pit came from.
So mosh pits originated in the punk rock scene, not in like a hair metal band type shit.
Mosh pit is a poser word for people that were afraid.
That's what it's called now. So
that were afraid to cut their hair and be a part of the punk scene and get in the slam pit.
Yeah. Okay, so I got another question for you about modern bands that are out now or out a few years ago. So there's not that much like original punk rock left, right? You got bands that are like considered like punk pop or like pop rock, whatever you want to call it, like Green Day
or
alternative, like Blink-182. What do you think about the bands today that are kind of attempting to keep rock alive, even though it's kind of a dying genre?
I got great respect for some of the bands that do it the right way. Blink-182 caught me off guard. I let them go by as bubblegum when they first went by.
Right.
And then I took a second look, and Bruce Parker and Blink-182, they're the bomb.
Yeah.
And then Green Day goes without saying. Green Day from the gate, from the minute Green Day came out, all they did was represent punk. And to this day, I feel like they still do a great representation of it.
Right, and then what about bands like the Foo Fighters and the Goo Dolls, who are kind of still putting out a little bit of music, like Red Hot Chili Peppers still putting out a little bit of music. Well, not really punk, but...
Before I break down the Foo, we're going to back it up one step to Nirvana.
Okay, let's go to Nirvana.
And Nirvana was the first band that kind of meshed punk and long hair and everything and alternative together.
Yeah.
But they did it their own way in a total punker
like
atmosphere.
A signature sound. Like they had their own sound.
You just had to respect Nirvana for the way they did it and what they did. And now David Foles or whatever, Foo Fighters, just carrying on the tradition.
Still putting out music today.
Oh, you gotta love everything in Foo Fighters.
You gotta respect that. So, okay, let's talk about Nirvana a little bit, because Nirvana's a little bit outside of the punk scene.
Yeah,
right?
No, that's 3 generations later in music.
Yeah, so they're outside of the punk scene, but a lot of the punk rock community was kind of back in Nirvana, or no?
No, Nirvana brought in old punk bands. The last MTV Live when they played acoustic.
Yeah, the acoustic
and it was like their last performance. He had the Meat Puppets, which was a band straight out of the scene from back in the day out of Seattle.
Yeah.
And he had the 2 guitar players from the Meat Puppets playing acoustic on the set with him on that MTV thing.
Okay.
So everybody from the old school was looking at that going, oh, nice. And then Foo Fighters, he took the guitar player from the Germs. Right, Pap Smear.
Oh, Pap Smear, yeah. And I saw an interview with Kurt Cobain and Pap Smear. Like they were friends or something.
And the original Foo Fighters is formed with the original guitar player from the Germs. That's nothing but
and the drummer from Nirvana.
And the drummer, but he is not the drummer. He walked off the drum set and walked out in front to be the lead singer.
Right. And kind of has like his own signature thing going on.
He's so talented.
Oh, super talented.
That guy is super, super talented.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about your bands. What was your first band?
What was my first band? My first band.
And what you were playing? You were playing the bass for Social Distortion, and then you kind of made your own thing.
No, I didn't. Never played with Social Distortion. But I love your stories are better than my story.
Fine.
Okay, I played with Raw Sewage. That my brother formed in the backyard. I was like 14 years old. And my brother gets these 4 other guys together and puts this band together. And they start playing Sex Pistols and Ramones.
Doing covers.
And they're dressed with they have chains around their neck and they're all punked out. And this is 1977, dude.
Okay, so
we're all looking at this going, no, we're wearing Jaws t-shirts and puka shells. That's how old this is.
Right.
So I'm 14. They run the first version of Raw Sewage for 6 months to a year without me.
Okay.
And they do nothing but Sex Pistols and Ramones.
Okay.
When the band falls apart, my brother puts a bass guitar in my hand, teaches me all the songs, and we resurrect the band, and now all of a sudden I'm the bass player.
So Raw Sewage was a thing. It died off a little bit, and then it came back up with you playing the bass.
Like every punk rock band out there, you get your first version, second version, third version.
With different members in the band. Yeah. Okay.
But then, so it's like 78, 79. I'm 16 years old. I'm playing bass with Raw Sewage.
Yeah.
And we do a concert together with Social Distortion.
House party?
No, we rented an art studio and had 3 bands play in an art studio. And all these people came and we jammed that out. And the next band I got is the one that's up on YouTube.
Yeah, we'll play a song here. So this is one of your songs. You're playing the drums here.
Okay.
This is SFT Underworld.
Yeah,
Underworld Call.
You got to forgive me. It's been 35 years. The minute Jesse was born, I closed the whole door on the music thing and put it all up in the attic and walked away.
Okay, so this is you. Drums. You're playing drums here. And then this
is 1984.
84.
Out of Fullerton.
Second band.
Out of Fullerton, California, where that's No Doubt came out of Fullerton and Anaheim.
Well, can't you consider like everything around there as like Orange County, LA, like everybody kind of came out of the same area right there?
That's pretty much.
Okay, so where are we at here?
So I'm playing bass.
When was this recorded? Where was it recorded?
Wait a second. I'm playing drums for about 2 years, and that's it. Taught myself how to play, and we made this record. I'm going like this.
Trying to figure it out, yeah. Well, why'd you want to play drums? I mean, you already knew the bass.
Because the Raw Sewage band, it went through 3 drummers, and all 3 drummers, I felt like I was a better person than them, and I felt like if that dude could do it, I could do it.
Jammed out.
So when we needed the 4th drummer, I went and got a drum set and forced myself to learn how to play.
Where'd you get the drum set?
Bought money from Grandma.
No, where though? Did you go to like a music shop? Did you get a thrift store? What'd you do?
I think I bought it out of some ragtag magazine where somebody had a set for sale for like $500.
There you go. So you got your first set, you learn how to play the drums, you make this song 2 years later.
Yeah.
Where were you guys at? You guys recorded in a garage or something?
These tunes were written in my backyard and refined in the garage studio that we had. And then we took them down to a recording studio and rented like 2 days worth of recording time. And then we recorded them all night, one night, and the next day he put on the vocals and some of the lead guitar.
Bring your own instruments into the recording studio?
Yep.
Okay, so you brought your own drum set to the recording studio, you guys lay it down, you get 2, or what do you get, 4 or 5 tracks or something?
So then we recorded the 2 songs to make a 45 record.
Yeah.
And then
That's the smaller version of...
some guy really dug the band and invested like $3,000, and we went and had 500.
So you guys had a backer for this?
Yeah, we had 500 records printed out from the labels and put them around.
Oh, so you had a legit 45?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Share, man. Oh, okay, so you got a backer. He kind of publishes you guys for like however many records. Yeah. You guys sell a couple, whatever. And then what happens after this?
This band didn't go much farther. There was just too many angles. The guitar player, or the singer, this dude's singing, is Dan Edwards. Dan Edwards went on to play with Brian Setzer and the Stray Cats and traveled around playing with the Stray Cats.
So he kind of toured around.
Yeah, he was a great musician.
And then here's the second song here. We got another one from this band when my dad's playing the drums as well. This one's called Turn Away.
Now this one's more like a love song. We really broke away from things.
Nothing wrong with changing it up.
No, but I felt it was really daring at the time because at the time it was like skateboarding at the skateboard park. Yeah. And if you didn't throw the high hard tricks in the music scene, you really got frowned upon.
You're just blending in.
And this was such a radical turn from what was going on.
You know what? Now you're talking about that. Don't you have a Metallica story? What's the Metallica story? And that was Microman or SFT?
That would be the next band coming, Microman.
Okay, so your next band, you're done with this. You guys can't figure it out. Move on to a new band.
Well,
all new members?
Hang on a sec. This was my first chance to play a real song. When I heard this song, I'm like, whoa, and it's like a love song, and I get to try and be a musician.
Not just smashing the drums.
No offense, man, but that kind of touched me because I was seeing the difference between hardcore punk and the fucking slam to the death and girls and playing great music. And, you know, I wanted to do something that was prettier and more romantic, man. Like, I wanted to be on that side of town.
You want to be like a talented drummer versus a guy who's just kind of bashing.
So, this kind of opened the door that when I met Brent Lucy and Chris Cedia, the other two guys in the Microman.
So you guys are just a drummer, a bass, and a guitar lead singer. That's it.
And the Microman.
3 members.
Well, we started with the fourth guy playing bass, Mike Goodnight. But I was totally out of the hardcore punk scene. I only knew how to play drums one way. I had to push. Everything had to be aggressive, because I made up my own drum beats.
Yeah, you're not like...
I couldn't just kick back and just play something soft.
I mean, you're not reading music or anything.
I didn't know how. And then I meet these two guys, and they're all into the Kinks and the Rolling Stones. They have never been exposed to the heavy music scene.
So, like the Rolling Stones, that would be what was considered like radio music at the time?
Like folk music, rock and roll music.
Alternative, maybe not labeled.
Microman, I believe, is one of the first alternative bands, because it started in '84. And we played totally like surf. I call it like a surf punk band.
Right. Not super hardcore, but it had an edge to it.
Yeah. But what was cool is they would whip out these old tunes, and they loved to sing together with harmonies, and they played like kind of a folk song. But whatever they played, they had to take my 90-mile-an-hour spin on it and try to put this edge. Microman were so bitchin', man. I loved the Microman.
So you guys were kind of doing like almost like punk covers of folk songs.
Yeah.
Right? Could you like classify? I know it's hard to label shit, but would you call it that?
Yeah, something like that. And then we took like Beatles songs. There's a Beatles song called Let It Be, one of the greatest love songs ever. Okay. But when we played Let It Be, we played Let It Be at like 90 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And it just flipped over and converted into the most bitchin' song you ever heard. It sounds so good at a higher speed. And we would do stuff like that. We would take songs and, what do they call it in music? You step on a song. You step on it, and you alter it, and you make it yours.
Yeah.
And we would do that to all kinds of tunes.
Yeah, for sure. So now you're in Microman. You guys are kind of doing the same thing, playing warehouses and stuff.
Okay, now I'm ready for the Metallica story.
Give me the Metallica story. Okay. Metallica is a huge band now. Where were they at when you met?
Okay, so Microman started in 84, 85. Metallica was this band that their name was spreading faster than the band was getting bigger, but don't get me wrong, Metallica
it's a good
always
name.
Backed their shit. Metallica was great.
Okay.
But their name was huge. It was just running across the top of the music scene. But in 84 and 85, they had not gone they weren't on tour buses. And
they weren't on the radio.
They were still just a really big, they were out of San Francisco when they started. And then they came down to our town in Orange County for Hetfield's senior year of high school because his mom got divorced.
So Metallica
moved to my hometown for about 3 months, right?
Okay.
And when Metallica,
and they're just kind of going around to all the fucking parties.
Yeah, and so that's what we did in our town on Friday nights. You'd hear about all these parties. You'd go around to the parties. So when they got there, Microman owned Brea and La Habra and almost Fullerton too, because man, when we played, people came. It was like turning a light on. It was just a party, right?
Right. People knew that you guys were going to kind of turn it up.
So we're playing one Saturday night in our hometown in a party, and we're just jamming away, and people are going. We're through a keg of beer. It's totally happening.
Yeah.
And then late in the party, somebody runs in the middle, like in front of the band and the crowd, and they're all, "Hey man, Metallica's out front in the driveway," and we all just stop.
Okay.
Like I quit playing.
The party's stopping. Boys.
Everything stopped. We're all, really? And then we look up, and then the guy's all, "Yeah, Metallica won't come in because they say you guys totally suck, and they're not into your kind of music." I'm like, "Really?" So we ran to the front door. I was in the front door, my buddy. All these girls and stuff were behind us, the whole crowd behind me looking out the door, and there was Hetfield and Lars down at the end of the driveway looking up, going, "We're not coming in, you guys suck." And we were looking down the driveway going, "No, dude, you suck." And Metallica wasn't that great, and that night we owned Metallica.
Right.
That night was all my night. And they walked off into the distance, and we're all, "See you later, dude." And we went and got back on the drums and on the shit and just kept on jamming.
Now, okay, I got another question for you.
To sum that up, we won the battle.
They won the war.
But I guarantee Metallica won the war. And then one more quickie story. That night, Metallica was ripping on us because we were playing covers, right?
Yeah, not original musical. Yeah.
We were the beginning of alternative music. I knew we were doing what was right. It felt good, man.
Yeah.
So one of the songs that we played was Bob Seger's song called "Turn the Page," and it's a real, famous rock and roll tune. And we put our little microphone
spin
on
it. Yeah.
But we're playing "Turn the Page," and there's Hetfield standing in the driveway.
Hetfield's the lead singer. Where's
Hetfield's the guitar player.
Hetfield's the guitarist. Okay.
Going, "You suck. I'm out of here." Right. 15 years later, Metallica puts out a cover album, and one of the tunes they put on the cover album is "Turn the Page" by Bob Seger. And I'm like, "Hey, you think I'm forgetting that little tidbit?"
You think I'm forgetting that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me give you this. Would you trade the night where you shit all over Metallica and you guys are like killing it? Would you trade that for anything? Or you're just like, fuck it, that was like an awesome thing. I don't give a fuck. Because it's that's like a great iconic memory that you'll never forget. Like that one day where you guys owned the fucking party and Metallica blew up, and now you can always say,
I always wished that it was a little bigger and it went a little farther. But now in retrospect, when I look back, I was pretty lucky to run the miles I got to run and see the things I got to do. No, I wouldn't trade it.
That's great, man. That's awesome. All right, so you're in the Microman now. Did you ever have any songs on the radio?
Microman got played on the radio. Oh, yeah. Okay, so back in 1980, when the whole scene started, there was only one mainstream music thing that you could get on the radio, and it was called K-Rock, KROQ, out of Los Angeles. Real famous radio station.
Still going right now.
It's still down there, and their most famous disc jockey was Rodney on the Rock. And Rodney on the Rock played Friday nights and Saturday nights, and he played all the punk rock. If you got a song on Rodney on the Rock on Friday night in L.A., you are cooking, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are doing really good. So Microman recorded that James Bond song.
Which
right? Oh, I'll bring a cassette next time, and I'll bring these. But we had a couple of really bitchin' surf punk tunes that were just like, man, they were
perfect
tasty.
for the radio.
But just little like 3-chord Green Day smasher songs, right? Yeah. And we had this one song called James Bond. My buddy takes the tape, and he waits by the door at the recording studio in Hollywood, or the radio station.
Yeah.
He's just hanging by the door and waiting, and Rodney comes walking in to go and do his shift, and my buddy Brent's all, dude,
you gotta
there's
listen.
Microman cassette.
Yeah.
And so Rodney took it in, and he played it, and he liked the James Bond song. He plays it on Friday night, 8 o'clock.
Friday night, like the most bitchin' time.
And the most bitchin' radio station. So here's Microman cranking on the LA radio, right? People like the song so much, they called to the Mac Saturday night. He plays it Saturday night again. Friday night, Saturday night.
Oh, dude.
2 nights in a row.
So you guys got some call-ins, like, yo, play that fucking
So then
James
we
Bond
go, the
song.
next week goes by, we're hawking all over the Rodney show, right? Boom, he plays it again, second week. That's 3 times Rodney on the Rocks.
The biggest, like, if you're a punk guy, this is the biggest thing you can do.
This is exciting, man.
Okay, so you guys are on the radio. Do you get anything out of that?
Didn't get anything out of it. The only thing that we really got was the 4th weekend. we were playing a gig or another party, and I remember as we were walking in the front room and setting down the drums, the party was already going, and everybody looked at us and went, "You just missed it, dude."
Oh, you guys were on the radio?
They were cranking Microman on the radio in front of the party as Microman was getting ready to play the party. It was really exciting.
Let me put this one by you here since we're talking about this. So today, if you go to a party today, everybody just brings out a radio and just plays tunes off the radio, right? There's no live performances at parties.
Yeah.
So like every party you guys go to, somebody's playing live.
Yeah. No, because back in the day, the cops hadn't gotten a grip on it where they just shut you down instantly.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you could jam till 11, 12 o'clock at night.
But this is like a unique thing. Like this is a moment in a bottle, right? Because this doesn't happen anymore. Now people come to a party and there's nothing. Nobody's playing live. But you guys had like bands that blew up that are playing live at parties. So what's the best party band you ever saw?
The best party band, I'll tell you what, I've seen Social Distortion play in unreal small settings. I mean,
like we're talking like less than 100
One time they took a roller rink that had shut down, and the roller rink had a big raised stage right in the middle, and the roller rink went around it.
Okay.
And Social Distortion set up on the roller rink, man. And it was all wood, so the sound was amazing.
Yeah, so it was like acoustic.
That was pretty good stuff.
And then what would you consider the biggest band you ever saw live? That in a small setting, not in like a concert, but like in a small party or a warehouse or something. What's the biggest band you ever saw? Most commercial success.
That's a tough question.
Because, I mean, the punk scene was so small, you were seeing all kinds of different guys that blew up.
Well,
right?
we saw bands like TSOL. We saw them all over the place. TSOL was king of the music scene. And then saw Agent Orange and the Adolescents. Got to be really good friends with the Adolescents, and they're one of the pioneers of the whole punk thing.
Yeah.
And we would see them in really small clubs, backyards. Well, we lived right next to Fullerton, and Fullerton College, the sorority houses in Fullerton College was a really big part of the punk scene too, because all the artists and all the punks went to the college.
Yeah, for sure.
And then there was Harbor Boulevard that had all the bars and everything,
right.
Where the whole scene kind of went up and down Harbor Boulevard. And when you got in them sorority houses, you would go to these weird, obscure little parties, man, and just wild bands would be playing there.
So you go to a party on a Friday night, you see a band live, and then they get bigger. Like, what happens? Like, when you got a band that blows up from just a small thing, are they just gone? They're just touring at that point? They're on the radio or what?
Well,
like when some of these bands blew up, what happened? Are they still around in the scene? Or
I keep referring back
to
to Social Distortion because I saw them go from the very beginning to where they are now, to where they exploded.
Right.
They were getting so big and so many people were going to see them that their last couple of parties in small bars and warehouses, the cops would stop the show before it even got started because there'd be so many people coming.
Right.
Matter of fact, first time I met Mike Ness, I just got my driver's license. I was 16. It was one of the first things I ever drove. Social Distortion was playing a party in the next town at a house party.
Yeah.
And when we got on the street, there was thousands of cars. Man, there was no place to park. And as I was going down the street, Mike Ness was running down the middle of the street, going car to car, going, "Sorry, man, cops shut down the show, and we're going to play again next week." And he'd go, "Next car, sorry, man." And then he got to my car and stuck his head in the window. "Hey, man, dude, cops shut us down, man. I'm so sorry about that." And that was the first time I met Mike.
Okay,
and
so
then
they're
he was
not
gone. He'd on to the next car. He was going down the street.
So wait, Mike Ness, lead singer, probably one of the more popular guys in the area, is literally just going from car to car. And those are experiences that'll never happen again, right?
And then one of my favorite stories was Raw Sewage played one night.
That's your first band?
The first punk band. And it was kind of a riot slam, tore the house down party thing. And we had to hurry up and get the equipment out of there because I thought we were going to go to jail. There was so much violence and mayhem.
In the slam pit or what?
And as we were rolling up, my best friend told me that, "Hey, man, it's Mike Ness's 21st birthday. And me and you got to go. We're going to go to his birthday party." So I took all the equipment home real quick. No, they weren't playing. It was just a party. No band, no nothing. Just all the dudes in the scene got together for Mike's birthday. So we get there, and we go in, say hey to Mike, say hey to all the guys, like the Adolescents are there, DI's there, Agent Orange, all these punk bands, all these people.
Yeah.
So we say hey, but I really don't, I'm not in the in crowd, even though I know everybody.
You're just right outside that
So
circle.
I just mingled in, said hey real quick, got a beer, and then me and my buddy ended up back on the front lawn, right? Like, whoa, this is crazy.
Yeah, a lot of people here, yeah.
So Mike Ness's 21st birthday party, we're on the front lawn. Tony Alva, the skateboarder, comes walking up out of the street.
Tony Alva's still a big deal on the skateboarding.
Yeah, Tony Alva walks across the lawn right in the party like he owns it. And I'm looking at my buddy, I'm like, man, that's Tony Alva. And he's here at Mike Ness's party. And we're kicking back, and not 5 minutes later, Mike Ness is fighting Tony Alva, rolling out the front door on the front lawn. And me and my buddy had a front row seat watching Mike Ness beat the shit out of Tony Alva.
Why?
Yeah. And
was there tension between the punk and the skateboard dudes?
Yeah. Tony Alva was a pretty punky dude. And Mike didn't take much. Mike's a real easygoing guy, a real great guy.
Yeah, but he's not going to take
quick
no bullshit.
Trigger, man, quick trigger. That guy grew up on the street, and he fought for everything he ever had.
All right, so I got a question here in the chat. Lexi, how you doing? It says, did you ever see the Screamers? Do you know anything about the
Screamers? But I've heard of the Screamers.
Okay, no biggie. Salience, what's up, man? All right, let's keep this going. Best party you ever been to where a band was just blowing it out?
Best party I've ever been to where a band was just blowing it out.
Just destroying it. Like, you're like, this is the best show I ever seen in a house party. Walked away and went, man, these guys are going to be huge.
These guys are going to be huge. That's a tough question.
Well, here, I'll spin it this way. What was the band you saw and you were like, dude, these guys are like, they're going to blow the fuck up because they're just killing it.
They're just killing it. Probably DI, a band called DI that was built out of members from the drummer from Social Distortion, the guitar player from Adolescents, and the singer used to be the drummer from Adolescents, Casey Royer. He was singing out in front. And you would see DI, they played a song called Richard Hung Himself, was one of their biggest songs. And they were one of the ones that when I was watching them early in the day, that I felt like I was seeing something special right here.
Yeah.
And they weren't mainstream. Not everybody knew DI.
They were like on the fringe.
Yeah, it took them a while to launch.
But you saw them and they were like, these guys are like the real deal.
Yeah, and then the Cramps. Everybody's heard of the Cramps. I remember seeing them way young in Fullerton.
Okay, I got another one here. It says, you ever see the Dead Kennedys?
You have just asked the wrong person that question.
Okay, what's wrong with the Dead Kennedys?
We had the Dead Kennedys record from the gate, man. Jello Biafras.
What era was the Dead Kennedys?
They were straight up 78, 79,
so they were right
80.
at the beginning.
Yeah, Dead Kennedys started and ruled the roost. They were out of San Francisco.
Okay.
So, loved the Dead Kennedys, and they had a song that they sang about, Are You Ready for the Third World War? Or now it's 1984, Are You Ready for the Third World War?
Okay.
And it was one of their national anthems. So in 78 and 79, we're listening to this, and we're thinking, wow, 1984, it's going to be World War III, right?
Yeah.
So, if I'm lying, I'm dying.
Okay.
I was at the Dead Kennedy show, New Year's Eve night, 1984,
oh, shit.
Long Beach Arena, and Dead Kennedys played till midnight, and we were watching this clock go, and it was about 10 to 12.
Yeah.
And that clock hit midnight, and it was 1984, and the Dead Kennedys started striking out that tin. It turned into the biggest riot. There was chairs flying over the top. The clock that I had been watching, waiting for it to get midnight, because now it's 1984, right?
Right.
All of a sudden, chairs were getting thrown at the clock until it was like a school auditorium until they broke the clock off the wall.
Right.
And then next thing you know, the doors kicked open and you could see the fog from the tear gas and everything, and the cops were trying to take the arena back.
Shut it down, yeah.
And the only way out was to run through all the cops and the crowd, through the tear gas, to get to the park. Yeah, I've seen the Dead Kennedys.
That's a pretty great story. Kennedys. Well, we got Callie here. She's got a question for her. Did you ever see the Foo Fighters live, or did you have any stories about the Foo Fighters?
I've never...
Were they kind of blown up after you had me and you were out of the scene?
Yeah, Nirvana was after my thing. I'd just quit music.
You had me in 91.
Nirvana took over. And then Foo Fighters came out of Nirvana, and I like the Foo almost better than I like Nirvana.
Yeah.
But no, I've never been to a Foo concert, but I feel like I'm connected to David Kroll's because I was at the Germs concert, that last concert, and he had Pap Smear in the band.
Yeah.
And I'm not lying, man. I bet you money if I ever met that dude, he would just sit there and go, dude, that is so badass. That's the one.
Yeah. That's like the most iconic concert you've been to.
On my bucket list and my to-do list, I have Foo Fighters up here. I must go see the Foo Fighters. Yeah.
Okay, so here's one. You had me in 91. We moved out of Orange County. What did you see any good shows after that? Did you ever see any good shows in the Valley or anything?
Well, wait, you're making me think about something. I left Orange County and went to Fresno.
Okay.
All place. Might as well have moved to fucking Afghanistan. We moved to Fresno, California.
Yep, I grew up in Fresno.
They have a little music scene. But as I was looking back at Orange County and I was leaving the whole music scene, I saw two bands that really stood out to me. And one was called the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Wait, so the Chili Peppers were coming up right when you left?
Yeah, 91. They were just starting. A lot of people don't know that they followed Black Flag and they came out of the punk scene.
Chili Peppers, even though they're considered more of a mainstream band now.
Yeah, they're totally not even seen as a punk band. They're seen more for their musical qualities because Flea's such a great bass player and the drummer's so good.
Right.
And the other band I saw when I was leaving was a band called Sublime.
Wait, Sublime was... I thought Sublime was like 95, 96.
Sublime was coming around, and they were out of Long Beach. And I think those two bands right there really show how rich the music scene was because they grew up like me, influenced by all this stuff. And then when they had
and made something different.
And when they had their chance to do their thing, they kept the attitude and the quality of punk. But their music is so respected as an artist. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, they're quality musicians.
And they cut their own trail. There's never been a band like Chili Peppers.
Yeah, or Sublime.
And then, go take another look at Sublime and ask yourself, you've never seen a band like Sublime.
No. Okay, we're gonna open it up to a few questions if you guys have any questions. We got one here. Did you ever see X? I don't know anything about this.
Which one?
X.
X?
X.
I saw X, dude. X scene. And what was that? Billy Idol? Not Billy Idol. Billy Zoom.
Billy Zoom?
Billy Zoom was a guitar player to X, man. That guy was the first rockabilly guitar player. They were so awesome.
And this was just like a scene band in Orange County or something?
X was totally a hardcore Los Angeles band. There was two scenes. There was the LA punk scene.
Yeah.
And then there was the Orange County punk scene in its infancy. It started in Hollywood and LA.
Yeah.
But when it sprouted up in Orange County, Orange County is the one that wrote the book on punk rock.
Okay, so you see X.
Yeah, but X was awesome. Saw X at a place called the Hong Kong Cafe in LA.
Yeah.
Yep. X was amazing.
Awesome. We got a couple more here. Did you ever see Gun Club or Minutemen?
Seen the Minutemen. I was probably the first guy that ever had the Minutemen record.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, now Minutemen were extremely underground band. Did not reach any kind of level of success. But just like we had Raw Sewage and Minutemen, once you get a name out there in the punk rock thing, the name just flies on and on and on.
I mean, it's a good name, Minutemen.
And people won't quit talking about it. And the Minutemen record was a crack up. These guys were really talented and wrote great songs. No song was longer than a minute.
What?
So their record,
a minute song.
Their record had 22 songs on it, man. Yeah, and I always felt a little bit bad because the guy caught this great groove and they were writing this great tune, but it was only a minute long and he stopped. And I'm like, oh, dude, you were onto something right there. Love the Minutemen and I've seen the Minutemen.
Okay, and then Jack wants you to talk about, how do you feel about getting healthier and getting on the keto diet with him? And how do you feel about getting a little stronger now you're getting a little older?
That's my youngest son, Jack. We'll tell him to just, dude, worry about making dinner and I'll see you when I get home.
Okay, what about the band Fear?
What band who?
Fear.
Fear?
Fear.
Oh, Fear. Oh my God, don't call my...
You know Fear?
I saw Fear 5 times. One of the most influential bands I ever saw. The singer's name is Lee Ving.
Lee Ving.
the toughest son of a bitch. I never saw anybody tougher in my life than the lead singer of Fear.
And they're like a big band in the scene.
And this dude would go on stage, he played Les Paul guitar, and he would sing, and he would stand there, and he had these big guns, and he had a tattoo. He was the first guy that blew the tattoo going around his arm, and he had a big band just tattooed around his arm like he had covered something up.
It's a big black circle, yeah.
There was this horrible thing when punk first started, and people would spit loogies on everybody. When 78, it took till about 1980
That's disgusting.
before we beat the shit out of everybody and let them realize that, hey man, the spitting thing's got to stop.
Yeah.
But when it first started, and Lee Ving was one of the original bands, Fear owned it from the gate, man. So I saw Fear at a place called the Starwood. And I saw him at the Whiskey A Go-Go and at the Hollywood Palladium. I saw him at some great shows. But he's up there singing, the crowd's going nuts, and everybody's hawking loogies on this dude.
It's disgusting.
And this guy's holding his ground, singing, and he won't move. His whole body's like a loogie vest.
Oh, it's disgusting.
Oh, it's disgusting.
Oh, it's so gross.
And I'm thinking, God damn, why ain't this guy just jumping out on the stage in a karate position?
Yeah.
And then somehow he ended up just flinging his shit out there in the crowd. He got some water, kind of washed it off and gripped it. And he took the stage and played like I Love Living in the City. And some of the greatest shows I ever saw in my life. I love Fear.
All right, we got here one from Callie. It says, were there any bands that you hated, and if so, why?
Were there any bands I hated?
No, maybe it doesn't even have to be as strong as hate. Maybe you just disliked their sound, or were they unpopular but kind of blew up later or something like that?
All right, bands that I hated were like Poison. All the hair bands, man.
They're hair bands, right?
I hated them, man. I hated Poison. I hated Motley Crue. Guns N' Roses was the first band that caught me off guard because it was hard to deny Guns N' Roses.
Okay, that's fair.
But now that I've gotten older and matured and I've relaxed and I like to listen to a lot of music, you listen to Poison and he's got the song he's singing about the rose and everything. They got a couple of really good tunes.
That's true.
And Motley Crue's got a couple of good tunes. But at the time, oh, hell no, man. I hated that stuff.
Okay, we got a couple more from Lex here. It says beef bologna or NOFX.
Beef bologna? That's Fear. Beef bologna.
Oh, that's a song? Okay, I didn't know.
I'm guessing that's what that is.
Oh, Salience, thank you so much for the 100 bits, man. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thanks, Salience.
And then the NOFF, say it again, what is it?
NOFX.
Okay. I had no idea what they are about. I missed that band completely. But from the people that I've talked to about them and the inspiration that was in their eyes,
okay,
this band must have really been something.
So you didn't get to see them, but they were around in the scene. Yeah.
And two bands that went by my time and I missed completely were GBH. Never saw GBH.
Okay. Never
heard one Motorhead tune except Ace of Aces. And after watching the Netflix thing about 35 years later on Lemmy, the singer of Motorhead.
Oh, really?
I wish I'd have caught everything that dude did, man.
It's a good story.
Motorhead looked like the bomb.
All right, we got here one from Jack. This is my brother. He said, did our mom show you any music that you weren't aware of? So when you met our mom, was she in the punk scene as well? Or was she outside of it?
Everybody I met thought they were into punk, and I had to sit there and go,
let me tell you a little something about
dude, you're deep, you're heavy.
Yeah.
But I'd be really nice about it.
Yeah.
But Mom brought in one band that I'd never heard before called The Replacements.
The Replacements.
And she made me listen to this song over and over again, this tape.
Yeah.
And it was kind of good, but it was kind of like, I don't know, it wasn't my scene. But it was punk, it was cool. And sure as heck, if she didn't call that Foo Fighters recorded replacement song, it's one of their biggest hits.
The Foo Fighters did a cover of a replacement song?
And it was one of their biggest hits on the radio. And my first thought was, wow, Mom showed me that when we were teenagers, and I balked at it.
Yeah.
But apparently she had that one figured out.
All right, nice. Do you have any last things you want to wrap this thing up in? We've been doing this for about an hour, so if you have anything else you want to say, we'll wrap it up here.
I'm enjoying this a little more than I thought I'd enjoy it, so
We could always do it another time if you want to.
Yeah, if you guys had fun and you want to hear a little more, I'll bring some of the tunes next time. And only thing I ask is that you guys check out the Underworld
I'll link it in chat for the Underworld. That was where you're playing the drums.
Yeah. And I'll link that. And if you're really interested in some of this punk thing, look at the 3 videos that I listed there. Those 3 video documentaries, they'll tell you a lot about how the whole punk thing started.
Let me put these songs in the chat real quick. All right, rad. Okay, I think we're going to wrap it up there, guys. Really appreciate everybody coming to the stream. And Salience, thank you so much for the bits, man. And yeah, guys, we'll be live again tomorrow at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, they used to laugh at me, but who the fuck is laughing now? From the trenches, I